With major conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, the Human Rights Watch annual report says 2023 was a formidable year for human rights suppression, marked by tremendous human suffering. The organisation criticises what it calls selective outrage expressed by many governments, which it says undermines the human rights of everyone.
Some states have been ready to rightly criticize the horrific attacks by Hamas-led fighters in Israel on October 7th, but they have not been willing, rather, to speak out against the abuses that are taking place by the Israeli military in Gaza.
Israel's strongest allies, including the United States and many European nations, have supported the country's right to defend itself.
We know that facing an enemy that embeds itself among civilians, who hides in and fires from schools, from hospitals, makes this incredibly challenging. But the daily toll on civilians in Gaza, particularly on children, is far too high.
Human Rights Watch goes further, accusing Israel of committing war crimes, which it strongly denies.
Hamas clearly failed to adhere to obligations under the law on October 7th, and we are continuing to see the failure of the Israeli military to do the same. So we saw that there was an intentional cutting off of water, of fuel, and the electricity, and restrictions on deliveries of humanitarian assistance. This is clearly an example of collective punishment.
Human Rights Watch also highlights the suffering caused by conflict in Sudan and in Myanmar, where the military junta continues its deadly campaign against ethnic minority groups. In the Sahel region of Africa, Human Rights Watch says militant groups and counter-terrorist forces regularly commit atrocities. The report highlights the persecution of women under Taliban rule in Afghanistan. It accuses several countries, including India, Rwanda and China, of targeting their nationals living abroad, often political dissidents or their families back home. Human Rights Watch praises institutions that have stood up for human rights, such as the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin over accusations that Moscow is forcibly transferring Ukrainian children to its territory. It also highlighted a September ruling by Brazil's Supreme Court upholding indigenous people's rights to their traditional lands. Henry Ridgwell, VOA News, London.